Religion in Romania under communism had a very interesting place. Unlike other Soviet satellite states, it wasn't outright banned, but it was socially frowned upon. Going to church was kind of like going to a strip club. If you were a nobody, then people didn't really care. It was still something shameful that you did, but you got a pass. However, if you're an important person, or if you wanted to get into a position within the CCP, if you wanted to become a prosecutor or a judge, then things would have been treated differently. You'd have been chastised for going to church. It would be like, don't you know that the Communist Party is trying to fight against superstition and mysticism and the barbarism that came before? And so a lot of people started practicing their religion in secret. They would practice it within their homes. They would have less public displays of religion. Even though, like, some people would still risk it, some people would still do it, it became even more difficult when a lot of people found out that many priests were actually collaborators with the deep state. So you'd go to church in order to have a confession, and the priest could ask you, how do you feel about socialism? How do you feel about the dear leader? And if you had any negative things to say, well, that would be taken and written down on a file. So, like, all of this created a very difficult environment for Christians to practice their faith. And one of the first things that happened when the regime fell was for the government to address this problem. Because the nation itself was religious. People did want to pray. It's just that communism has created an ideology and a fear of people going to church. And this mindset wasn't like the government against the people. No, it was the government and the people against some people, because you actually had genuine communist converts that viewed religious people as an enemy. Like, they genuinely had seething hatred towards religious people because they viewed that they're using religion to oppress society. Like, they believed the Karl Marx ideology. They believe that the religion is the opium for the masses, and it is done in order to instill compliance and to give the government the ability, the moral ability to control the population. And so after the communism fell, those people remained. And there was like still some stigma in society, although kind of small, but it existed, right? And so religious people were afraid of their neighbors because they didn't know, like, is my neighbor really a genuine communist? Like, am I going to get in trouble at work if I go and I pray at the church? And then there was also the fear that what if the government is just doing a test? What if this is a psyop? What if the government just wants me to go to church so they can write me on a list? And so in order to fight against this prejudice, the government said, all right, well, we're going to actually start teaching religion in schools. So 1 extra hour was added per week, and the subject was called religion. And it was treated exactly the same as math. It was treated exactly the same as science. Like, you would go there, you would have a teacher, and they would have a curriculum, and they would tell you, okay, today we're going to learn about the story of Noah. And the students had to go at home, they had to read the Bible, understand Noah, and then the next day they would be asked questions from the story. What does it mean? How did you feel about it? And if you answered correctly, you get a good grade. If you answered incorrectly, you get a failing grade. And you could actually flunk. You could actually fail religion. Now, when I went to school, things were a lot more different. The exact same culture of prejudice against religion was non-existent. Things changed dramatically in society, but religion as a subject remained. And now it brought various frictions. Like, imagine you're going to school, you already hate it there. And after 2 hours of math, 1 hour of science, you're doing a little bit of chemistry and physics and some other nonsense. And then you have like another hour where you're doing a foreign language. And basically you're sitting 7 hours in school doing all this shit. And at the end of the day, you have to do religion. And it's like, bitch, please. Like, most people were tired of it, right? Because at least you can justify, well, I need math in order to get past the exam and get into a good high school or a good university. I need to learn a foreign language. You know? Why the fuck do I need to learn about Noah's story? Like, fuck off. And that was the attitude of a lot of students. And on top of that, there were concerns from the parents because, okay, you have an hour of religion. That's great. But I happen to be a Catholic. Or I happen to be a Mormon. And the Noah story is a little bit different, or my church has different interpretations. And you could even have like parents who were atheists. Although they were being a little bit more prejudiced towards now because, I start to see that the wheel of oppression is a thing throughout time. The atheists oppress the Christians under communists, then the Christians oppress the atheists, and then the atheists create the woke movement and oppress the Christians. I'm looking at it and it's just like so fucking bewildering. Like, when will it stop? But apparently it is what it is, right? So now it was the time for atheist parents to shut the fuck up. But still, the concern from the other parents were mounting up. It's like, okay, well, I'm of a different religion. Why are you forcing my kid to learn a different denomination? I have my kid constantly complaining that he is already tired from 7 hours at school. Why is he forced to spend another hour when we go to church every Sunday morning? And so, while the program was initially created to solve something, that something didn't really exist in society 10 years down the line. But you know what did exist? The actual religious teachers. Like, you now have people that signed up, they finished theology school or whatever, and they signed up to work at a school, and they were getting paid probably a little bit above minimum wage. But that's how bureaucracy works, right? Like, you created jobs. You manufactured a workplace for teachers to exist. And so this was genuinely the mindset. Like, we shouldn't abolish religious education because we're taking the bread away from the teachers that teach it. And the teachers that teach it realize that they're in a very precarious position. They had high IQ. And they realize that, okay, well, if I rock the boat too much, I can end up losing my job. So you know what they did? They stopped caring. Basically, they would still teach. Like, it would probably be like an American school from a neighborhood with people of all walks of life. So I can explain it in a way that is within the guidelines of YouTube TOS. They would teach, they would sit there, they would tell the story about Noah. But meanwhile, almost no one was paying attention. It was almost like recess. Like, kids were talking with each other. Many, including myself, were skipping school. And the teacher didn't enforce any of the rules. Everyone was getting A+. Everyone was getting, top grades. If you skipped, there was no problem. He wouldn't report you to the principal. He didn't rock the boat. And up until this day, the religion is still taught in Romanian schools. But let's look at what's happening in the United States, because I find this to be a very interesting comparison. You have the recent moral panic with systemic racism. A lot of those papers were being debunked. But basically the idea is, in order to fight against systemic racism, the government can do it, right? Like, the government is like God. And if racism means even racist jokes, even like unconscious biases, like, the government knows how to fix that, right? He's going to brainwash the population, remove free will, and all of a sudden no one is going to be a racist. So they hire DEI trainers. They hire, people that will nag. So they get a position at a school, at a company, and all they have to do is to nag. It's nag people about not being a racist. Like, oh, you're a white person, right? Like, your ancestors. Like, don't you feel like a piece of shit? Aren't you a piece of shit? Look what they did. Look at what the systems in the systemic America is doing. You're a piece of shit. Don't you feel like... And so, when that was in vogue, like, people weren't afraid, but they complied. They went to the corporate retreats. They listened to the nagging. They did everything. But now you notice that Trump is landsliding the elections. Now you notice that Bud Light is being boycotted along with Target. Now you notice that the entertainment which promotes the DEI mindset is not popular. And you still think you can be a cheeky little shit. How much do you hate your job? Like, seriously, like, all you have to do is to not rock the boat. You're getting there a comfortable job. You're sending your emails. You're doing, like the bare minimum. I mean, it's such a fucking easy job being a DEI trainer. Like, come on, anyone can do it. I will show you how it's done. And I will even get good results. I will have people wanting to come to my seminars. I'm that fucking good. I'm that amazing at what I fucking do. Because I would do it in a smart way. I would know that, okay, well, the culture is changing. I'm getting paid. I'm going to not rock the boat. I'm not going to be a cheeky little shit about it. I'm going to actually have to be liked by people. And so, because they don't get this, and they push their shit, I'm willing to bet a lot of DI traders now absolutely dislike this person that you see in the news right here. They absolutely dislike this person because they're rocking the boat. It's like, why are you calling the American flag a hate symbol? Are you loco? Now, in 2024? Couldn't you do this in 2020? Like, why didn't you do this up until now? You should have done it up until now, and now shut the fuck up and just let us keep grifting. But no, they're not. And so, it's a good thing, I guess, because I don't think that the American flag is a hate symbol. It's a good thing that these people out themselves, but it's not like, the DEI position is going to be revoked. Like, it's going to be another DEI trainer. However, they are making it really easy for the system to be removed completely. Because just like in Romania with religion, if the religious teachers were genuinely like, no, like my subject matter is very important. It teaches about God. Every child should know about God. And if you don't know the story of Noah, you get an F. And if you get an F, you flunk. If they had this mindset, I guarantee to you, like, they wouldn't be teaching religion in school now. And that's the difference in mentality, I guess, between Eastern Europe and American puritanical values, because this is puritanical in nature. Like, I'm telling you this as a European, as a person from the outside looking in. When you get so caught up in the ideological bullshit and you radicalize yourself further to the point where you're teaching this type of stuff, yeah. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.